If you've been with me for a few years, you probably were guessing that I was going to create a fire for our object lesson that associates with this spark, but I decided we needed a softer entry into 2025. So we're going to play a game of Kerplunk. And that's because I wanted to help my kids understand how the blessings that we access every day are actually built upon the structure of what was restored. Because the priesthood power was restored, certain blessings are accessible to me. Because the ecclesiastical structure of the church was restored, blessings are accessible to me. Because the sealing power was restored, certain blessings are accessible to me. The structure that is the church itself is critical to accessing the blessings that God wants to give us. And that you're going to show with this ridiculous game. So to make it, you can either go and buy the game of Kerplunk and attach the printable to that game, or if you're feeling like you want to DIY something, you're going to make this lazy version. So you just need to go get a 2-liter bottle. For us, I got the generic version of Sprite because it was a nice clear bottle. And then I have a wood burner that you would use to like stamp a wooden spoon or whatever. And it had an X-Acto knife attachment. So I used that to cut off the top, but you could use just a regular X-Acto knife or a box cutter. You want to cut off the neck of the bottle and also the base where the lumpy part is. Because if you've never played this game before, essentially what you do is you're going to slide skewers in. I just used regular bamboo skewers. And you're going to slide those in at all kinds of weird angles. To make the holes, if you don't have the wood burner tool that I have, which was like $15 at Michael's, you can also take a marshmallow roaster and then heat up one end and kind of jab it in, or you could just like hole punch it. I mean, there's lots of different options, but you need to make a whole bunch of holes in the middle. You just want to be careful not to put the holes at the very top or the very bottom, because those will give it a little structural integrity. So on each of the skewers, you're going to add a little flag. Those represent the different truths that were restored in the restoration. They didn't all come at once, but they all came over the course of time, and we're going to study all of them in the Doctrine and Covenants. But you're going to slide those into the holes at all kinds of wonky angles. In fact, I found it was easiest when we played to add the paper before I added the sticks. So the paper portion of the printable, you could actually just use with Post-it notes. You don't need to print out the printable, but the idea behind the paper is that these are going to represent the blessings that come to us because truths are restored. Because we have the sealing power, certain blessings come into our life. Because the Book of Mormon was brought forth, we have certain blessings. So your kids are going to take these pieces of paper or Post-it notes and write down some of the blessings that come from these particular pieces of the gospel that were restored. Then you're going to crumple those up, and these are going to become the balls that sit in your Kerplunk game. So before you slide the sticks in, turn your Kerplunk game upside down. Add all the papers to the top, and then slide all your sticks into each hole. You'll have some that are empty. For us, we added a few plain bamboo skewers that don't have any printable on them, just so that there were a whole bunch to choose from. And then you're going to tip it right side up. This should make the paper stay at the top and all the sticks stay in the center. And then you just play a standard game of Kerplunk. You guys are going to roll the die, and the colors will coordinate with a few of the different sticks that are positioned in your bottle. And then you have to pull it out. So if you roll the orange on the die, you have to pull one of the orange ones out. If you roll a color and there are no orange ones left to choose from, you pull out one of the blank ones. And the game's really simple. Whatever happens to fall down, you keep. So you pick up the container, the bottle, and then you take whatever has fallen down and you set the game gently back down, and people keep playing until all of those little blessing balls have fallen down. And then you count up the balls and you see who has the fewest balls. And the person who has the fewest little paper balls is the winner of that round. But my hope is you can use it as a way to reinforce this lesson. Because I want you to be able to show your kids that it's that structure that kept those blessings accessible to us. As soon as we start pulling things out, in the Great Apostasy, we lost things like priesthood power, the sealing keys, the truths that were taken away from the Bible. When those sticks slide out, the blessings also fall. We can't keep them intact anymore. That's why the gospel needed to be restored. When Joseph Smith listened to the Lord and gained these insights and understandings that we're going to study throughout this year, that network, that lattice that is created with all those sticks crisscrossing, allowed blessings that heaven wanted to grant us to stay, to be accessible to man. And so then your kids can understand it. Maybe you could take each paper that falls in their particular pile and give them a chance to open it up and talk about what life would be like if they didn't have that blessing. And maybe that would be an easy, like waypoint into a testimony about those particular truths and why they're so valuable. But I hope that the object lesson helps your kids see the connection between what the church offers and the blessings that God wants to give us If you need some additional resources for this one, if you go into Elder Renlund's talk from this last conference, the one that talked about nitroglycerin and Kieselguhr, and he talked about how you need both components, that would be a really good one to reinforce this. Maybe you listen to it while you play Kerplunk, and that will help your kids understand how to tie what they're reading in the proclamation to what we heard at conference as well.